Saturday mornings in Maple Ridge are usually quiet, but mine started with a sickening scrape on the roof. I set my coffee down and stepped onto the porch just in time to see my next-door neighbor. Linda Parker, standing at the base of her ladder, garden shears raised like she was trimming roses, only she was sawing through the coax to my satellite dish. I shouted her name. She didn't flinch. One last snip, the feed arms sagged, and my TV flickered to black. "Problem solved," Linda called, smug as a cat. "Did you seriously cut my dish cable?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "It's an eyesore," she said, chin tipped up. "The HOA voted for low-profile roof fixtures. Yours violates the aesthetic code." "There's no height rule," I said. "And you can't destroy someone else's property." She gave a little practiced laugh. "Maybe now you'll relocate it properly." Then she clattered down, grabbed the shears, and marched home like she'd done us all a favor. Inside, the screen was dead, and so was my connection. I wasn't streaming movies, I do meteorological work, and that dish links to a private research network pulling atmospheric data. Not a toy. My livelihood. I didn't tell her that. I took photos, severed cable, her ladder, timestamp, and messaged my supervisor, network disruption, hardware damage, ETA 2 hours. I didn't get 2 hours. Exactly 23 minutes later, 2 black SUVs rolled up the driveway, sleek, quiet, unmarked. Federal quiet. The lead driver stepped out, tall, clean-cut, badge lanyard flashing Department of Commerce. "Ethan Walker?" he asked. "Yeah. I'm Agent Cole Harris, NOAA liaison for satellite security. Your feed went offline. We traced the cut to this address. Need to confirm the hardware's integrity." Another agent was already scanning the dish with a handheld meter. Across the lawn, Linda pretended to prune roses, curiosity blazing. When she saw the badges, her mouth fell open. "When did this happen?" Harris asked. "Half an hour ago. My neighbor decided to enforce what she thinks is a rule." I nodded toward Linda. His partner crouched by the roof line. "Clean cut, no weather damage." He looked up. "We'll need to report possible tampering." Linda swept over. "Excuse me. That dish violates the HOA height limit. I was helping the community." "Ma'am," Harris said, "this dish is part of a registered atmospheric research link under NOAA's experimental data program. Tampering with it is a federal offense." The color drained from Linda's face. "A federal? It's just a dish." "It's a weather satellite receiver," he said. "Those cables carry encrypted government data. You've interfered with a federal network." 10 minutes later. After they took her statement and her shears as evidence, the agents told me a technician would restore the line by afternoon. They handed me a contact card, in case the HOA tries to interfere again. Linda muttered about bureaucrats and slammed her door so hard her windows rattled. By evening, an emergency HOA meeting notice appeared in my mailbox. Topic: unauthorized government equipment on residential roofs, signed by Linda Parker, interim communications chair. Humiliation hadn't deflated her, it had hardened into crusade. At the meeting, a dozen neighbors whispered in folding chairs, while Linda waved color printouts of my dish like crime scene photos. "We must enforce aesthetic discipline," she declared. "Didn't federal agents visit you?" someone asked. "Misunderstanding." She sniffed. "They overreacted." I stood. "You cut a NOAA research link." "They were doing their jobs." Murmurs. The HOA president, Tom Bennett, cleared his throat. "Let's table this until we verify the facts." Outside, Linda cornered me. "You humiliated me. Don't think I'll forget. You made that clear when you climbed onto my roof, I said. The next days turned quiet, too quiet. Then two men in orange vests showed up with clipboards. Code compliance inspection, possible zoning violations, one said. From the HOA? I asked. Linda appeared, watering a plant that didn't need it. I was worried it interferes with community Wi-Fi. I called Harris on speaker. Local inspectors at my roof. Do not let them touch it, he said. 15 minutes later, the black SUVs returned. Badges flashed, the inspectors apologized and left. Harris gave Linda a final warning. That night a drone buzzed my window, a GoPro pointed at the dish. The following morning, Linda posted, community notice, surveillance in progress. I didn't bite. Instead, I called a reporter I knew who covered tech infrastructure. He filmed a straightforward segment, local HOA mistakes NOAA dish for spy device. It went mildly viral, and Linda doubled down, 3 pages of Comic Sans flyers accusing me of media manipulation. 2 days later came the suits, this time Department of Homeland Security. Special Agent Mark Larson, the lead said. Report suggests your dish is transmitting unauthorized data, modified beyond specs. Call Agent Harris, I said, showing the setup. They inspected, took photos, and left, polite but professional. Linda smirked in her driveway. Maybe if you didn't act suspicious, people wouldn't ask questions. I kept documenting every notice, every visit, scanned and time-stamped. Harris later called, anonymous complaint claiming I'd attached a signal amplifier to transmit classified data, cleared, but the complaint became a public record. I checked my camera from that night, Linda, in a pink robe, filming my dish at 2:14 a.m. I sent the video to Harris. Don't confront her, he said. Let us handle it. Linda escalated. Anyway, gathering neighbors for a community safety inspection, claiming FAA interference. I told her I'd already spoken to the FAA. For once, she had no comeback. So she tried a different weapon. The courts. A process server handed me a stack, Linda Parker versus Ethan Walker, petition for injunction and damages, emotional distress, surveillance, and removal of federal equipment. In county court, the judge watched 30 seconds of the footage of Linda on my roof with cutters and sighed. Claim dismissed with prejudice. He advised her to consider apologizing. She stormed out, shaking. For a few days, peace. Then, past midnight, a plain box truck idled near my driveway. Linda, with 2 men, unloaded a shiny new dish and bolted it down near the property line. If you get one, so do I, she shouted. Permits don't work like that, I said and called Harris. By noon, his laptop showed her dish emitting on restricted frequencies, documented. Police arrived. You're operating illegal transmission equipment, an officer told Linda. She signed a voluntary removal form, seething as her contraption was hauled away. The next front was property lines. Linda planted orange utility flags and claimed my fence encroached 22 inches. I told her she didn't want to mess with the fence, sensor-linked, I said casually. Geofence alerts. Mostly for wildlife monitoring. Her confidence flickered, the flags vanished by evening. At midnight, a rented mini excavator growled to life in her yard. Linda, in a reflective vest, waved blueprints. Proving it's not a federal zone, she said. I opened an app and let a shrill alarm pierce the night. Harris arrived, no surprise left in his face. If she'd damaged ground sensors, the charges would have been severe. Her cousin killed the engine and drove off, muttering, not worth it. When flyers didn't work, Linda tried propaganda, edited footage on the neighborhood Facebook page with a caption, Neighbor stages fake federal raid to frame HOA volunteer. She pushed for an emergency assembly to suspend my membership. That night at the clubhouse, she waved a cheap counter she'd bought online and called it a radiation detector. Tom Bennett winced. I mirrored the full, uncut video to the projector, Linda climbing my roof. Cutting cables, floodlights, officers arriving. Silence, then a low whistle. Tom stood. This is accountability. Linda fled, livid and shaken. Her final weekend push arrived with a generators. Wine and a backyard monstrosity, a Frankenstein dish made from lawn gear, dangling wires, and a hand-painted sign, private research, no trespassing. She flipped a switch. A floodlight hummed. Sparks popped, ozone bit the air, and something smoked. Sirens again, firefighters, police, and Harris. The fire crew doused the grass, police took statements. We'll add reckless interference and property endangerment to the report, Harris said. He predicted fines, probation, maybe counseling. Monday morning, Linda skipped her administrative hearing. Harris texted from the courthouse. Bench warrant issued. I didn't celebrate. It didn't feel like a victory so much as gravity taking its time. Afterward, the neighborhood eased back into rhythm. Tom Bennett told me the board suspended Linda's HOA privileges for 6 months and dissolved the enforcement subcommittee she'd weaponized. No more random fines, he said. For a few weeks, the only trace of the chaos was a scorched patch in Linda's lawn. Then one morning, I found a note on my porch, no return address, but the tight, sharp script was unmistakable. You think you won, but being right isn't the same as being good. One day you'll understand what you cost me. I folded it and put it away. Nights grew quiet. The dish blinked like a heartbeat, steady and calm. Sometimes I'd open the NOAA app and see a routine ping, a clean log, a steady stream. Boundaries mattered. Documentation mattered. Patience, more than anything, mattered. Weeks later, the official letters arrived. Linda Parker accepted a plea, fines, community service, and a no-contact order preventing her from coming within 100 feet of the equipment or my property line. The HOA codified a simple rule: federal installations are exempt from aesthetic restrictions, and adopted a process to prevent unilateral enforcement actions. Neighbors started waving again. Lawns buzzed. Kids rode scooters down the cul-de-sac at sunset. One evening, Tom wandered over with 2 lemonades. Think the legend of Linda will outlive us, he joked. Oh, for sure, I said. Kids will dare each other to whisper her name by the community pool. We sat and listened to the crickets. Across the street, Linda's windows stayed dark, the scorched lawn had grown over. Maybe she'd moved. Maybe she hadn't. Either way, her story wasn't mine to follow anymore. Mine had a clear ending, the line stayed up, the data flowed, the neighborhood learned, and I got my quiet back. And on those clear nights when the stars matched the pulse of the dish, I remembered how fast entitlement can spiral, and how, with proof and patience, it can be brought to a stop. That's the closure I wanted, and that's what I kept.